Hi, I'm Ursa, and today I'm going to show you how to make this little starter house in Vintage Story. And all you're going to need is the early game tools, so only flint tools. You're not going to need any metal or copper or anything. And for this house, I'm going to build it in like separate phases, like different modules, so that way as you're playing you can slowly upgrade it. It starts as a little box, and then slowly I add different sections so you can do the same while you're playing on your world. I'm going to start out with the foundation, and for that I'm going to use some cobblestone. There are tons of different varieties and you can get it pretty easily if you find any of these ruins around. You can easily break the cobblestone with your bare hands, and you can even get like the cool aged cobble with your bare hands, which is awesome. Adds some different variety, some different texture, and there's just different kinds depending on which biome you're in. So when you're starting out selecting a location, I would highly recommend settling down next to some water, and also make sure that your gear is spinning clockwise because you don't want to be losing your temporal stability in your house. And I'm starting with my foundation, and I'm doing a little rectangle that is 7 by 6, and then I'm going to start building it up, and I build it up until it is, I believe, 4 blocks tall. Before I do that, on the inside I'm adding a little pop-out section for a little fireplace. That way it's not really like taking up space inside the house, but you still have a little area for your fire. You're not walking into it and getting burned and whatnot. I'm also going to continue to like raise up the chimney for the fireplace. You can raise it up as high as you want to your heart's desire. I also make it a little bit thicker, so I thicken it up. Next up, we're going to pop out little sections for our windows. If you're doing this in survival, it's much easier just to leave those little sections open. Then a very easy early game window and door is the wattle gate for the doors. You can stack 2 of them on top of each other, and it's much more secure than that door that keeps breaking down and falling off when you're getting chased by monsters in the middle of the night. And for the windows, I just popped in the wattle fences. This front window, I decided I didn't like it 2 blocks wide, so I just shrunk it down a little bit. Here we are setting up my fireplace, getting all cozy inside. And for the flooring, I didn't want grass growing inside my house, so I went ahead with the rammed earth. There are a lot of different earth or like soil dirt based options early game. You could do the rammed earth, which is really nice because there's a lot of different texture varieties. Then there's the strewn straw, which is a little bit more like yellowy. There's also arid packed dirt. So there's a bunch of different options. You can just find which combo you like best, whatever cobblestone you have in your area. We are done with the foundation and moving on to phase 2 of our building, which includes adding a second story. For this second story, I'm going to add a little overhang, so I'm going to pop it out 1 block bigger than what our foundation was, and then I'm slowly building this up, and I believe I make it 5 blocks tall. We'll see in a moment. And I'm doing this in the same material as I did the flooring on the first floor. Now inside we have to clean up a little bit so we have space to get up to that second floor. So in the corner, or whichever corner you prefer, you can add a little ladder, and then I'm going to pop out some windows. I kind of made nice little symmetrical ones. Then doing the same thing, adding in the wattle fences for the windows. The really nice thing about continuing that chimney all the way up is we can also have a little fireplace on the second floor. Now we're moving on to the roof, and I'm going to do some sod roofing. There are really only 3 different roofing options early game without the use of copper tools. We have the sod, and then we also have the thatch, which can be made out of dry grass. And then for some reason there's only a slate roof option, which can be made out of slate stones and clay. I don't really know why they decided to do that and not have other stone roof options, but there you go. Moving on to phase 3 now, we really need some place to easily be able to pan and access water. So out the back of the house, I am sealing up that window that we had before, and then I'm popping out some of the cobblestone to make a door. Now, how long you make this little extension out the back of your house would really just depend on how close you built your house to your water source. As long as you have at least 1 source block of water inside your house, I think you're good to go. Then I used the wattle fences again for the windows, sod roof for the roofing, and this is a perfect little room you can use for extra storage, use for panning. Later on, I also pop in a little trap door and dig underneath it and make my little food cellar underneath this extension out the back of my house. So there you go, phase 3, pretty simple, pretty short. We're moving on to phase 4 now, and for this one I wanted to make a little outdoor workshop and also like a pit kiln area, and above it I have this little overhang that I'm going to use for my bedroom. So I was kind of messing around with it a little bit. It was a little finicky, but I built it out of the same wall material, the rammed earth, as I did all the other flooring and the walls for my second story. I replaced those little cobble fences with a solid foundation connecting to the house, and then I added the cobble fences, or I guess the dry stone fences. For this overhang, I did make it 1 block smaller than my second story, just so there would be a little bit more depth, and then once I add the roofing in, it's kind of a little bit more staggered, just a little bit interesting rather than every single section being the exact same size. Now I'm switching up the windows from the original little box that we had yet again, and I'm moving them around. I'm making a new door. If you're going to be adding pit kilns out here, definitely need to make it a non-flammable surface so there's no grass growing on there. And now we're doing the roof. This part was a little finicky. I had to use the roof inner corner. It's a little tricky to figure out like which roofing parts you need where. I would just recommend messing around with creative with all the different roof parts first, and then you'll get the hang of it. So I have like an outer roof corner touching the inner roof corner, and then it kind of extends to that new overhang section. Now on the inside, I'm cleaning up any of those random extra roof bits that got stuck in there, filling up the whole entire wall so there's a clear division between the two rooms, popping up some windows using that same wattle fence. Now I'm just making it nice and cozy with some beds, some chests, you know, nice little bedroom. I decided to add a ton of pelts here. I literally covered the whole entire floor with pelts. Was that necessary? No, it wasn't. Absolutely not. It's a little excessive. I don't know who's gonna have this many pelts early game anyways. Just laying around on the floor. Yep, as you can see, I realize that it does look a little bit ridiculous, so I removed some of those pelts, and life goes on. There you go. Zooming out now, you can see that there's quite a bit of depth, that I made that overhang a little bit smaller, and the way the roof connects, I think it just looks more interesting than one big long roof. In this final phase, I'm not doing like any major construction. I'm just adding some little details here and there. So underneath the windows, I have this mod called custom flower pots, and early game you can make little hanging baskets underneath the windows, so I did that. And then the roofing is also a sod roof, but it's a sod roof flower bed, so I popped in a bunch of flowers there just to make it a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more pretty. And out the corner of my bedroom, I decided to make a little staircase. I don't know how I feel about this yet. Yeah, it looks a little bit weird, but it's also nice to have really quick access from the outside to the upper story of the house. Now, this last part is just me being a little bit excessive. I kind of decorate it, make it a little bit more interesting inside, rather than just having all of like the rammed earth all over the place. I decided to use some redwood. Now I'm sprucing up the inside a little bit, adding some shelves, some little storage bits. I love this little nook on the bottom story. And there you go, there's the final look. A little bit more like fancied up a bit. And finally, I add some vines to the outside. I use some trapdoors to make kind of like window shutters. I also continue using that mod custom flower pots and have some little flowers outside. I make the pathing out of the redwood, and then a little entrance area, I guess. Final look. It definitely looks much better when you add like a colorful flooring in there rather than the dirt options. Here's a little peek into the panning room, and you can see in the corner is my little trapdoor that goes down to a cellar, but you can't do that until you get copper tools because there might be quite a bit of rocks under there you need to break. Now upstairs in the second story, I made this kind of like a little workshop room. I chiseled a water section, there's a fire pit, and then all the different clay molds that you could possibly need. Some buckets, some ingot molds, a silver lantern, which I just added for aesthetics. You definitely probably can't get that early game. And the bedroom, I made it super cute, super cozy. I used some moss here to display the butterflies. I also have a mod for the beds, so you can use the elk saddles on top of the beds to make them look a little more cute. I added some fences downstairs to my pit kiln area, but that's looking pretty much the same. I have a watering can just in case any fires break out. There's that weird little outline around the door. I was working on chiseling it and I guess I never finished, but I wanted to finish recording this little section. And there you go, that's it. I hope you liked the video. Subscribe for more if you're interested, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, don't mind that little hole. Okay, bye.